Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Yes. Today what is to be shared?
Yesterday she wants some more explanation.
In the 17th chapter, Lord Krishna touches upon very important factor that affects all our lives. Unless we have sufficient control over our body, speech, and the mind, we will not be having a peaceful life. Unknowingly, unwittingly, we may be bringing misery to ourselves and also to misery to others. So it was a wonderful point, because we are trying to approach Bhagavad Gita to improve our quality of our life. We are not worried about the textual or the intellectual or the academic side of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, as Vinobaji used to say, she is a mother. So we go to the mother in seeking certain answers for our pressing problems. Many of the relationships have been developed as well as have been damaged because of loss of control over our speech. Vangmayam. So yesterday we were Anudvegakaram Vakyam Satyam Priyahitam Chayat Swadhyaya Abhyasanam Chaiva Vangmayam Tapa Uchate. Elaborately he talked about it, no? Speech which causes no vexation and which is true, as also agreeable and beneficial, hitam and priyagaram. and regular study of all texts. These are said to form the austerity of speech. So many dimensions came when we are confronted with controversial issues, controversial topics. Normally, none of us would venture to worsen the situation. Some background on the spiritual side will definitely give us that. Because everything rebounds on us, that we know. At the moment, our rights and wrongs may push us to certain type of attitude, which may come out in the form of words. But deep within our heart, we know, if I hurt somebody, it will rebound back on me. And as a spiritual aspirant, I will not be able to, I know that I cannot correct the world. Only I can correct myself. Just like through episode after episode we were going through in Quest of God, at nowhere you will find Papa starts correcting others, including the teacher who said, who crossed beyond certain boundaries of decency. Even then he called him. You remember? I don't feel not at all offended by your words. I still love you. And next day you all know what the transformation has taken place. So when you say Vangmaya, to understand, since Papa made us to have an in-depth study of In Quest of God for nearly a year, we bring in before our mind episode after episode where he gives us this message that we are not here to correct the world outside, but we are here to correct ourselves or change our attitude, approach. When the police sub-inspector, in our language, when he was harsh in his approach to send them away after walking for 34 miles in hot sun, without chapel, without food, he had the harshness to tell them to quit in 2 hours' time. Even then, though the Sadhuram started abusing him, you will find Papa not at all abusing anybody. So we are not worried about the episode, but the greatest message he gives us is, you cannot change the world. You can only change yourself. And by changing yourself, you are always at poise. So here in the Vagmaya, he says, how does it come? He gives about the Swadhyaya Abhyasanam. So when we keep on associating our mind with noble thoughts, biographical sketches of the masters, true incidents that had happened place, all these have a telling effect on us. That will definitely help us to control our reactions. Because nobody will be able to lead a peaceful life with one's own rights and wrongs. It is very, very clear. Because our rights and wrongs need not or will not be accepted by the rest of the people. And I really try to recognize that each one has got the freedom to draw the rights and wrongs. So as much as possible we will try to go along with them, and wherever there is a tussle. We pray. Either we pray to him and then keep quiet, or even if they are shouting it. Or after some time, just like when the two boys were bullying him, he waited for them to complete the whole thing and then only he replied them back in a loving way, which had its marvelous effect. And every time we have been told, though it is very difficult for all of us to accept it, but Papa keeps on reminding and repeating these words, test, 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 test come unawares. So whenever something not palliative for us, not conducive for us, not acceptable for us, when it rises up, somewhere we have to tutor the mind that it is a test given to us by God. We may fail, but these are all some of the methods by which we can attempt. Vangmaya tapas. And all of us can go back to our own life and then see for ourselves how our bird of love produced warmthness, and how, suppose in some moment, if we had uttered something that has wounded somebody or hurt somebody, how much we feel, how much they feel. The practical demonstration has also been done, not merely a theory. Priyam, Hitam, Anudvegara means not vexation, no. Then Swadhyaya Abhyasanam. When we try to associate ourselves with the noble texts, let us not limit to any particular one. The other day, you remember, we were telling a great thinker in the West. She said, early morning you go for a walk with nobody else, where there are, and you first see a tree. Then you realize you have followed the label. Then the tree, which has been labeled as tree, reminds you, when I came to this world, I did not announce I am tree coming. It is people like you who have given me a label. So what was I, prior to the labeling? That means we are trying to go to the source of everything. When you say Swadhyaya Abhyasanam, Swadhyaya, we have to keep on thinking about it, The noble thoughts uttered by people, evolved people, it will help us. Probably not now, at a later date. Taking the tree, then we start inquiring about the origin of everything. Whatever we see only is a labeled object. But prior to that labeling, what was that? It was mere existence. We cannot even say an object, because object is also a label. Prior to bringing that, prior to this language, But there was a time when there was no language, then only the language came. So before that language came, what was it? Can we say, who is there to say that it's an object? So what is its origin? So like that, anything that is helpful for us to go within, that is Swadhyaya Abhyasanam. So these are all some of the suggestions Lord Krishna has said. Go deeper into this. Associate yourself with the noble thoughts. that have come from the minds of noble people. And try as far as possible, try to be, or whatever thoughts, words or words you use, let it be hitakaram and priyakaram. And then we will ensure that it doesn't, it should be acceptable to them, Otherwise we keep mum. In the next, then austerity of the mind, because these are two interlinked. So he says, Manaprasada Saumyatvam, Maunam Atma Vinigraha, Bhava Samshuddhiritye, calmness, quietness. When you close your eyes and suppose when you hear a melodious, beautiful bhakti bhajan, when you come out of it, you try to look back, what was the state of mind when you heard this? Single pointed. You get a glimpse of that serenity. Manaprasadam. Manaprasadam, then Saumyatvam. Then Atma Vinigraham, Maunam. Maunam is not merely observing silence. Wherever silence is required, you observe silence. The sense, so that you do not create controversies. After some time, the other party may also remember. He will come back to his usual self. At that particular time, if we react anything, it is not going to help. The best way is to keep quiet. And later on, after some time, when they are little calm, then you go lovingly tell them. Or even we have witnessed a scene where we don't have to lovingly tell them. We carry on with our loving attitude towards them. And the other one will go automatically. Because you have not uttered anything, you come back, then your body language as well as your activities affecting them, when it is loving, it will slowly act on them, and after an hour or two, that person gets tamed by himself. So that also works. So self-control and honesty of motive. Yesterday we were telling in Malayalam there is a poem which we all read in our school days. Madvajanangalku mardavamillengil uddesha shuddhikku maapu nalgiyan. We would have uttered something, in our sincerity, in our anxiety to hold on certain things. It would have hurt them. So you tell them, it was not the intention, sorry. It was not a slip of tongue. I should have presented it in a different way. That means the motive is clear. Probably the words used in conveying that motive might not have been palatable to the other party. The moment you realize that, you tell them lovingly. So if the motive is clear, if the motive is to assert my individuality, that is the difference. Motive is to impose my rights and wrongs on others. Then the result will be disastrous. There will be argument. Because the motive is not to assert our individuality, our line of action on them. Motive is that we wanted that if that is done in that manner, it would be helpful for others. That is the motive. No self-interest. If it is with any self-interest, it becomes counterproductive. So this Manasa Muchari, So this is called Manasa Tapas. Tapas at the mental level. How can do one tapas at the mental level? Tapas meaning struggling to make oneself better and better. That is what is called austerity. Austerity is that which makes me a better person. The quality of my life, quality of my talk, quality of my thinking, everything gets improved. The mind is going down, there is a depression at that time, then you bring it up. One must ask oneself, why should the mind be disturbed? It must be serene. It is a constant struggle. Somebody abused me, went away, he or she may have forgotten, but I am culturing it. I am getting depressed. I go down and farther down. That should not be. I must be able to discriminate, throw the whole thing away, restore my serenity again. That struggle is tapas. Every day when we need it for our own good. At that particular moment we cannot tackle. That we have seen in another incident, yes, we now remember. Somebody had somebody's paternal uncle, paternal. Very loving, but one day somehow the other person heard that this paternal uncle has used some word by which, the belittling was going on. From that day onwards, he started not talking to him. But no other words. He will not tell anything against that person to anybody. We have carefully observed that. So when his father passed away, some elderly person called him and said, you write to him. We should come. After all, he is your paternal uncle. He immediately wrote a postcard. On those days. Next day the reply came, I am coming there. The whole thing was repaired. So when we go through this, God is making us to parade before our own mind. These are not simple tall talks. It is all practically possible. The only thing is by going through it again and again and again and again, we might be able to get it imprinted in our heart, and it will have its own impact on how to deal with such situations. Anything else? Anybody feels?
It is difficult. Actually, step by step. Like personally, want to share Swamiji. I want to say personally that.
Want to say?
Regarding Vangmaya Tapas.
Vangmaya Tapas.
Yeah, tell me.
Vangmaya Tapas, Mana Tapas, in rendu vishayalallo, inittu maatadi.
Your audio is not proper, Lakshmi Narayan garu. Kindly adjust the audio, no, please.
Okay, Mata.
Now it is clear.
Mata, అమ్మాయి పెద్ద అయినప్పుడు కొంచెం గొడవలు అయింది, స్పందించకపోయేది మాతాజీ. మాట్లాడాలి ఏది మనసుతోటి కానీ అందరూ అనేది సైలెంట్ ఉండేవాళ్ళు. దాన్ని ఏమైనా స్పందిస్తే డైవర్స్కి వచ్చేది మాతాజీ. అట్లా అనంగా ఎప్పుడు అంటే బంధాలు చెడిపోయేది ఉండే. కనుక చెప్పేది ఏం స్పందించకూడదు, స్పందిస్తే ఎవరు చెడిపోతుంది అనేది అట్లా చెప్పాలని నేను మాట్లాడలేదు.
And Manas. 17th chapter. It gives us a powerful message for all of us. Then, anything else?
అదేనండి ఆడియో ఇస్ నాట్
Pitahamas. This is the sloga which connects me to my origin. If I concentrate more and more on this, I get a clear picture of my relationship with him. Gadir Bharta. I also need some bell.
నెట్ వేసుగా
Gadihi, the goal to be attained. Gadi Bharta. Gadi Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suhrad Prabhava Pralayasthanam Nidanam Bijam Avyayam. You can hear?
No, sir, 1 second. Now, yes. Yes, 1 second. Some audio. Yes.
Swamiji, audio mute ஆயிருக்கு.
Charipura.
Now you are able to hear?
Now it's okay.
Now.
Yes, Mother.
So here this particular sloga number 18 in chapter number 9, if we dwell deeper and deeper into it, then our relationship with the indwelling reality becomes more and more sweeter. He is the goal of our life. Bharta, he is the supporter. Prabhu, he is the Lord. Sakshi, he is the witness. Nivasa, he is the abode. In him only we all stay. Sharanam, he is the refuge. Suhrad, he is my friend. Prabhava Pralayasthanam, origin, dissolution and substratum. Storehouse, Nidanam. Then finally, Bijam Avyayam. It is from the eternal seed, from him only everything has started. So we are trying to connect ourselves to the core of our being. You are there with me, you are my closest friend. How do we understand one word, suppose, friend, because that is something which we can easily understand. Who is a friend? He has given us a mind, No other species has got this precious gift called the mind. And the mind is our closest friend. He is helping us. In the form of bringing memories, in the form of storing so many things. Suppose a person shouts at us, the mind, there are two types of mind, agreed. We are talking about the Suhrid mind. He will immediately recollect the good aspects of that person. Yeah, nobody is totally bad or absolutely bad because they are all are God's children. So when we try to think about them in a comprehensive way, not in one particular direction, where we differ with Him, it is the play of the mind that brings us this. And so we start thinking about it. So He is there, He is through the mind, He is helping me to develop a harmonious relationship with the entire creation. The goal, the supporter, the Lord, the witness. He allows everything to happen, but He is not affected by it. That is a witness. Suhrid, abode, nidanam. In Him only everything happens. So one of the words can definitely enable us to connect ourselves with Him properly. Even now the words are coming because He is there. It was He who brought out the words, cogently arranged. And then, how does it come from our mind? Just think about it. It just comes. Later on, we take over the ownership, that's all. When we start dwelling on a subject, suppose we want to write, put it in writing. Suppose I say you write something, you will say, no, I am not in a mood to write. What does it mean? Because somebody has forced you, you cannot do it. The mind should become amenable, the mind should become receptive, the mind should become in such a state where thoughts will gurgle up, which you can put it in writing. Think about it. Each and everything you have to go deeper, then only we can understand the mechanism placed by Him. The subtle power, what all it pays, but at the same time it does not get affected at all. Where did I come from? I come from the seed. Where from the seed came? Only from God. So He is my abode. He is my friend. Everything, the more we think about, Papa used to ask us, every time we are reminded, go to your own as well as the source of the world. Because that solves all our problem. Spirituality is nothing but getting ourselves connected to the source of our being. All other things are, aimed at connecting us to the source. To what action we are committed, that will depend upon our progress. So many things will happen in and around us, but we remain unruffled, unaffected, because we know that He has got a plan and He is working out that plan. So you have only the allotted role to play, that's all. Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam. Prabhava, the source. Pralayam, we can say dissolution. Sthanam, you can say the maintenance, substrate, base. Nidanam. Bijam Avyayam. Now the Supreme Divinity is described in many ways in this verse. If we concentrate, the other thing will become clear. We don't have to mug up everything. If we concentrate on that Sakshi Bhav, the rest of the things will become clearer to us. Everything is happening, but you are not affected. Everything you have become aware of because you are there as a Sakshi. Though activities may give you joy or sorrow, but the Sakshi remains untouched and unruffled. Often we don't recognize the presence of Sakshi. So we develop some technique by which this Sakshi is recognized. We can't say every time, at least most of the time. Vangmaya, that also will help us when we view everything as a Sakshi. Udasinata, that will come. Sakshi is a very powerful word. Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam. While explaining about the eternal Guru, Brahmanandam, Paramasukadam, Kevalam, Jnanamurtim, Dandvatitam, Gagana Sadrisham, Tattvamasyadi Lakshyam, Ekam, Nityam, Vimalam, Achalam, Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam, Bhavatitam, Trigunarehitam, Sadgurum, Tam Namami. But Gagana Sadrisham also is that also will answer us. So whenever we are in a passive, sattvic mood, suppose we try to bring out these slogas and then apply, probably it might leave some good samskaras in us, which will help us when we deal with men and matters during the other times. Otherwise it becomes only a knowledge, not a vijnana, applied knowledge. We want applied knowledge. We accept the knowledge, but the knowledge has to be applied in our life. So when we are in a hurry, we may not be able to do it. Just like the cows, when they are for grazing, they collect, they come back and then do mastication in their own time, and take out, and then do it again and again, and that becomes effective. It goes directly to their body. Similarly, we gather all positive thoughts, as much positive thoughts, elevating thoughts, and then when we are in a sattvic mood, when you visit places like this, when we have done Ramnam and we have attended bhajan, the mind is relatively calm, quiet, serene, free from our usual common routine, free from our usual challenges. At that time, we try to store all these things. And then when we go back, when we are in the field, when we have to react to events and individuals, proportionate to the intensity we have done during our stay in ashram, in a positive way. Then it becomes vijnana, otherwise it becomes only jnana, knowledge. That is why he himself, Lord Krishna, said, the Jnana Vijnana Yogam, 7th chapter, no? So anything else in this? So through this, Sakshi is a beautiful concept in our Vedantic psychology as well as philosophy. Develop a Sakshi Bhav or witness attitude. That means you are able to view things dispassionately. Sakshi consciousness is a wonderful idea. You can see your own mind, your own attachment, your own aversions, your own foolishness, everything from behind, whereas the ego cannot see all these. Ego can see the fault of others, not one's own. Only when the ego develops the Sakshi awareness, then you are able to find even your own faults. So a little Sakshi awareness makes for a higher type of life, a higher type of consciousness. That is how the concept of Sakshi comes in. And God is considered to be a Buddhi Sakshi, the Sakshi of all Buddhis in the world. It's a wonderful, beautiful conception. There is one whole, there is one who is the Sakshi of all these. Your mind, my mind, and all these other mind, that is the divine being. So one aspect of the divine is as Sakshi. Nivasa, the abode. Our abode is God Himself. Sharanam, the final destination, where we can take our refuge. And then Suhrit, real friend. He is the only friend we have. The divine is the only friend we have. Suhrit is the word used to mean constant friend. He doesn't leave me, At no times he leaves me. Even though he makes me to go through many of the trying periods, still he is not leaving me. How intimate God becomes when you consider him as Suhrit, as friend. Bhoktaram yatna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam. In the 5th chapter he says, Suhridam sarvabhutanam jitva mam shanti mrichati. So the Suhridam is a wonderful word.
Reflecting on the austerity of the words, opposition of the words, I'm finding that there is some relation between the body's condition, the pain or whatever it is, and the kind of austerity of the word. Pain in the body and the austerity. If there's pain in the body, even though you try to be very, very controlled in your words, sometimes even without your control it comes out. For the body pain, the inconveniences you are experiencing. You will express this Swamiji, to clarify Swamiji.
When we undergo severe pain at the bodily level, we may not be able to keep up this, agree. That is why we said at that particular moment we may not be able to keep. But now suppose when we are subjected to go through severe pain, to some extent it will help us. That is why during the sattvic moments, we try to fill our mind with sattvic thoughts, elevating thoughts, but not at the superficial level, but a little more deeper level. Not that the pain will not be felt, but to some extent we will be able to bear it. We have seen many people, they accept the reality. When we are not able to accept the reality, then naturally the pain will be severe, no doubt about it. We have heard when we went to a patient, he said, what can we do? It is a karma, we have to work it out. But still we feel the pain is too much, so we ask the doctor to bring some medicine. But he has accepted the reality. I have brought this pain not because of anything else, but because of my own prarabdha. And when the pain becomes unbearable, even then the expression will have some background of this. So the idea is, whenever it is possible, whenever God facilitates us to have these noble thoughts in our mind, we try to have it, chew it, deep, do some manana, mentally go through the whole thing and somehow make it our own, so that in times of need, it will help us. We won't say that we will not feel, the pain will be there. 100% the payment will be there, pain will be there. But there is a cushioning, softening, something will take place. So during this period, let us try to gather as much positive thoughts, as much creative thoughts, productive thoughts. Try to understand what is apriyam, what is ahitakaram. And then, in times of need, it will definitely help us.
Thank you, Swami.
Hari Om. Anything else? Before we take up, we don't know whether it will be possible for us to do it next week. We will try. Some groundwork is necessary. We will go through the chapter by chapter again. But before that, if you can take some chapters like this, some slokas, and relate yourself to the daily life, daily problem. Everything comes from the daily problem. This is how Gita is slowly trying to enter into our life. From the text, it is entering into our life. So far, we have treated it as a text. We go through it, we read it, we hear it, we close the book. It has no connection between us and the daily life. But here now God is facilitating all of us to first hear, and then He makes us to make it a reality in our life. So let this tempo be kept up. And so daily 1 or 2 slokas like this, if somebody can bring it out, that will enable us to enter into Bhagavad Gita. And then, those of you, if it is possible, you just go through the chapter-wise, and certain slokas will definitely give you some doubts, will definitely touch you or something there. Just note down. If you find that it is impractical now, put down. We will again go through it. Nothing is impractical. Rama.
Swamiji, supposing we feel that he is our Suhritam, so he is our friend at all.
He is our
friend. Suhrit.
That will help us to tide over the
Correct.
situation. So
100%.
for me, the practical way to tide over would be to bring Papa as my friend at all times.
Correct.
And if it is a difficult situation,
Yeah.
I may react. But at that time, if I think of Papa, that will help you to tide over.
It's a beautiful word. A word which we can easily understand. We had so many...
hold on to that alone. That will help.
Correct. The simple fact, why we say he is our constant friend. He has been with us. In spite of our not recognizing him, not worshipping him, not giving him any honors, still he has not left us. That is the true friend, He has saved us many a time. We did not even look at him and say thanks. But he did not go out of us. Up to so many years in our life, we have not recognized him at all, that he is with us. We may go to temple and We say that is God, that's all. He did not bother. When I am sitting here, why should you go? Did he complain? No. So such is his close friendship with us. No other word can replace. That is why in 5th chapter and in this chapter, the Lord brings Suhrit. So, and the Suhrit, just because we read in Bhagavad Gita, we cannot understand. But when we look back, only after coming in contact with great souls like Papa, we slowly intellectually started understanding that he is within us. Prior to that, we had no idea. Every time when we go to a temple, we develop some positive sentiments and then we are happy, we come back, bas, finished. Whenever we are in trouble, we used to pray to the deity, we used to do some offering, we get some joy, that's all. We have never accepted him as a friend. But later on, when we are in touch with an evolved soul, he makes us to understand that God is within you, he has been within you. Then suddenly I sit and stand, oh. The heart has been pumping right from the moment, I was born or I came out of the world. Came out of my mother's womb. That means his presence is there. Breathing is going on. These two simple things enabled me to understand. But still I did not recognize him. Even when we were affected with corona, when we had to pay through our nose for the oxygen, after the corona is over, when the oxygen, what do you call that machinery, it was disconnected, we forgot about it. We never knew that he is producing oxygen and giving to us free. Suddenly he made us to realize, I have been supporting you, Pranavayu. If Pranavayu is not there, you will not survive. That Pranavayu I have been giving to you right from the moment you came out of your mother's womb. And just because you did not recognize, I have never withheld. Think that particular word, keep on going, so that you develop that gratitude, the friendship becomes more and more intense. Every day you give me some hours for me to forget about everything. We call it a sleep. Like that, slowly start identifying in what all ways our friend helps us. So that is a word which we can keep on thinking. That means the real purpose of Gita chanting or the in-depth study of Gita, we can eke out the best benefit by concentrating on one word and then becoming aware of the real meaning of that word. At the end of the talk in 18th chapter, he says, because you are my close friend, I am giving to you. Actually, the Bhagavad Gita, you see that 700 slokas, okay? Can a person chant 700 slokas in one go, standing? Just think about it. And what was the attitude of Arjuna? Suppose we go back to the Mahabharata days. He found that he cannot fight anymore because he was seeing his own kith and kin. So he kept the Gandivam and sat. Now at our level, 1 hour, during 1 hour, how many slokas one can cover? And there must have been some pause moment. That is why every now and then there is a dialogue between Arjuna and the Lord. Is it humanly possible? It is humanly possible only when the friend does not think about the time. No? The friend is only concerned about how his other person, the other his friend, gets convinced and he is made to undertake this noble task. So in 18th chapter he says, because you are my closest friend, I am imparting all these things to you. So that means it's a regular feature that is going on. Because right from the beginning we said, we are not. Sarvagrihatamam bhuyaha shrunume paramam vachaha ishtosi. Ishtosi me dridamadi tato vakshyami te hitam. Because you are so dearest to me, that which is good for you I am giving. In the 64th sloka, before he closes, again he repeats, so ishtosi, that particular word, you are so dearest to me. So that has got its own. When you go through that, you will find in many places how he reminds him that I am your friend. So that means, even otherwise we know that he has been with us. Now we know that. Who is giving us this pranavayu? Who is facilitating everything? If I am eating today, how he prompted somebody to cultivate that particular type of pulses or vegetables, and how he arranged for the climate, the water, the earth, the soil to coordinate with it, earth, air, and finally how the growth happened and how finally it came as a food in my table. So we start developing this, He is not only a close friend watching me, he is a friend who is always taking care of me, feeding me, protecting me, leading me, guiding me. One word, yes, correct. Okay, before we close, we would like to say a few words about tomorrow's importance. Tomorrow happens to be the 139th Jayanti day of our Param Pujya Papa. Though the Almighty Lord of the universe is without birth, without death, in order to make us know, he also comes out with birth and death, like all of us, and then leaves a message before he drops the body. What is that message? Inspiring life. So he, in the form of Papa, he came and he left an indelible impression in the hearts of all devotees. Not only by his teaching, by his very life first. If he had only simply lived and gone, we would not have known. But because of his concern for us, God also prompted that individual, which is his own, to write down. And that is why all of us were drawn here. So tomorrow we remember him with utter gratitude. In that we can also add one petition that we have been hearing your inspiring life and message. We want to live up to it. To some extent we all feel we are moving towards that. But somehow the progress is not what is expected to us. We feel there is insufficiency in our progress. So kindly help us to get over this and at least make us feel that we are reaching the stage where there is absence of otherness. You put it in a beautiful way, universal love and service based upon the vision of divinity. The moment I start seeing the divinity in everything, there is no otherness. So you gave us the holy and all-powerful Ram Nam. During the non-chanting time, how we should live our life, that also you gave us. Outer activity should be compatible with inner aspiration. You also stress the need to go inward and to get ourselves connected with you. In all these three aspects, we are struggling. We are still doing, we are struggling, but still there is insufficiency there at all these three levels. Kindly enable us to do this. Time is running out. We would like to do, but there are so many limitations within us which we feel we cannot tackle. So you have to step in, remove the obstacle and take us unto yourself. This is our humble prayer. This 139th Jayanti offers us an occasion to remember so many things. How you drew us to yourself. We were all in different fields in life, and through some instrumental factors, you drew us to yourself, and whatever may be our ups and downs or plus and minus, it has been sustaining for decades now. So now we again plead, it is all because of your grace only, this much we could do. Now again, kindly step in, remove the obstacle and give us the feeling of oneness with you. So let these thoughts, right from the day you heard about Papa in different forms, it need not necessarily be in this form, but tomorrow happens to be the 139th Jayanti of Papa, we try to see him through Papa, that's all. Through all Mahatmas. You facilitated us to get in touch with various Mahatmas. You facilitated us to know the inspiring life of many of those evolved ones. And finally, you also drew yourself to us to make an intense study about you and your life, and also to touch and make us know the purpose of our life. And you slowly put us on the path. So now to hasten our journey, kindly bless us, please. So with that background, we will have tomorrow's Jayanti day. As you know, there is no separate celebration as such, but a heart full of gratitude for him. That is what is needed. And in tomorrow evening satsang, we will try to go through again some of the aspects of Papa's life. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, 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 Jai Jai Ram Om. Okay, Hari Om.
Hari Om. Pranam.
Pranam, 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 pranam.